Welcome to today's show, where we're going to be exploring a number of important topics that I believe are essential to living a fulfilling life, to being a successful investor, and to being happier. And to guide us through this discussion, I'm going to ask Chat GPT, the latest craze in artificial intelligence, to help us. I'm also going to be joined by Mark Creedon, founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind and CEO of the Metropole group of companies, as we decide how smart the answers generated by this so-called powerful artificial intelligence language model, how smart they really are. So let's dive into this fascinating conversation with ChatGPT.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's authority in wealth creation through property, who has been voted one of Australia's top 50 most influential thought leaders.
Have you noticed how technology doesn't advance in straight lines? It's choppy. There are flat periods with little change, and then all of a sudden there's massive vertical progress. It leaps up. Now, in case you hadn't noticed, we've had one such leap with the introduction of Chat GPT, a powerful artificial intelligence language model that experts suggest is as big a quantum leap as the introduction of the PC and then laptops. Now, I remember I was an early adopter. I got one of the first PCs, an IBM PC, way back in the early 1980s. And then there was all of a sudden the web browsers. I remember the beginning of the internet and couldn't understand how I could even use this or what benefit it would be. It didn't make sense to me. Social media was a major change. And then the smartphone. I had one of the first Apple smartphones in Australia because they weren't even available then and we got it from overseas. So what we now have to understand is how ChatGPT is going to affect us, or not just that particular program, but artificial intelligence in general. I've actually taken it for a test run, and I want to share with you what that test run was like. And to do that today, I'm joined by Mark Creedon, founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind and the newly appointed CEO of the Metropole Property Group of companies. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Michael. Really looking forward to today's chat.
Well, as I said, am an early adopter of the PC, the phones, and I've had a bit of a play with ChatGPT, and I even used it to write Pam a Valentine's Day poem, as a lot of people did. But I've also been using it in our business. But today I'd like to see what it has to say about money, about business and success. So, Mark, I've asked it, what are the top 10 ways to get rich? Let's see what it has to say and what you and I think about its answers.
Yeah, this will be fun. I think more importantly, though, Michael, are you going to put the Valentine's Day poem in the podcast notes? I think that's what probably everybody wants to know.
Yes, we may even try that. So I asked ChatGPT, what are the top 10 ways to get rich? And interestingly, not surprisingly, it started with an interesting disclaimer. Now, just to explain, this is an artificial intelligence program that has read every article on the internet, watched every video on the internet up to 2021. The next version that's coming out in the next weeks, ChatGPT 4, will have caught up to all the information up to 2022. But it started off with a disclaimer. Hey, it's been listening to the financial planners. Mark, and it said, as an AI language model, I must note that getting rich is a complex and multifaceted goal that can depend upon a variety of factors, such as your starting point, your financial literacy, access to resources, and luck. And I agree with that. It's also important to remember financial success is not the only path to a fulfilling life. Pursuing personal goals, relationships, and meaning can be just as important to one's overall well-being. Well, that's a great start, isn't it, Mark?
As you were reading the first disclaimer, I was thinking, geez, AI must be a lawyer, but then it goes into all the ideas of personal growth and relationships. All due respect to all the lawyers listening, Michael.
They wouldn't be thinking about those things. Okay. And then went on to say, that being said, here are 10 potential ways that individuals may pursue to accumulate wealth. The question is, how do you get rich? Number one, and interesting that it was the number one, was start a successful business. It said building and growing a profitable business can be a powerful way to accumulate wealth over time.
Well, and we see that obviously in the work that we do, both within the CEO, within the Metropole Group, I should say, within the Metropole Group and within Mastermind. We see people growing wealth that they use to create intergenerational wealth from the profits from their business. It's interesting, Michael, that it said start a successful business, because we also, we know the stats, one in three businesses will fail in their first couple of years in Australia. So we know the stats it can be quite daunting. So it is about making sure it's successful and then also making sure it's profitable. Get those two together, and I think it's a great way to grow and accumulate your wealth.
Now, business is a great way of getting cash flow, and we know that a lot of business owners then use the cash flow from their businesses to invest in assets, which happens to be number 2 point. Invest in real estate, stocks and bonds. It said making smart investments in the stock market, bonds and real estate can generate significant returns over time. And I think the over time is a sensible thing, Mark. It's not suggesting get rich quick.
No, and I'm pleased that it's not suggested that, because we know that, the importance of sort of time in the market rather than timing of the market. We know the importance of also, Michael, interesting when it says, start as a successful business, but it doesn't say invest in, good quality stocks, bonds, and real estate.
Ooh, well picked. That's right, because we know most investors never get past their second investment property, and most Aussies aren't good at stock picking either. Point number 3 about how to get rich. Pursue a high-paying career. Choose a lucrative career path and consistently advance that can lead to substantial earnings over time. Mark, I'm not sure it's right there, because you can't get rich, you can't be wealthy with high wages, because we know what happens is you earn more, you spend more, you need another car, you have different holidays, you keep up with the Joneses. So while it can give you the cash flow, it needs more than that.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, that's just really trading time for money. So that's not a long-term solution. Taking the money that you earn as a high-paid career, taking that and investing that in good quality investments and the right real estate, or maybe starting a business, moving into your own professional practice, all of those things can work to grow your wealth. But just earning more money of itself, as you correctly say, I think is not something that's going to get you there in the long run.
Point 4 was build a strong network. Building strong relationships can open doors to valuable opportunities such as job offers and investment opportunities. Now, it's not just who you know, it's who you know knows. And I know in particular in business, this is critical. And that's part of the reason I have a network of people with you in Business Accelerator Mastermind. And then I think that's one of the reasons a lot of clients join Business Accelerator Mastermind, to have a network, a peer of people who are on their side to help them get to the next level.
Yeah, it is, Michael. It's why they join. It's why they stay. And it's because you get this collective momentum and shared wisdom that comes from a group. But interesting, as you were saying that, I was actually thinking about Wealth Retreat, because we know that having a network of like-minded people, and I know this, wasn't a show about Wealth Retreat, but it reminded me of Wealth Retreat because, sitting in a room, building networks with people. And we know that, in fact, out of Wealth Retreat, there's been a number of sort of partnerships and joint ventures that have been developed, hasn't there?
Definitely. Once a year, a small group of people, business people, entrepreneurs, investors, successful people, get together at Wealth Retreat on the Gold Coast. And this year, it's going to be on April 29th to May the 2nd. And Mark, that's where people set aside 5 days of their life to plan the rest of their life. It gives them an opportunity to look at their life holistically, not just business, not just property, but relationships, recreation, family, health, contribution. And they come in with ideas, but they go out with firm plans.
Yeah, they do. We've said this before, Michael. I don't use the term life-changing with, about many things. But, I do with Wealth Retreat, because the number of people that we've seen go to Wealth Retreat and walk away and go, well, it just changed my life and I've got so much better clarity. I was actually having a conversation with somebody yesterday about that very point. So the concept of this how to get wealth and building a strong network just reminded me of Wealth Retreat, because it is those connections that come out of Wealth Retreat, connecting with each other, stronger connections with the people in the faculty. They sort of, we all become like a large Wealth Retreat family in lots of ways.
Very much so. Yeah, the next point about Chat GPT telling us how to get rich was develop financial literacy. And that's one of the things that we try and help Australians with the podcast, with the blogs, with the YouTube videos, But those who want the next level, the information that's not on the internet, the information that's not in the books, well, that's, I guess, why they come to Wealth Retreat, to learn about how the wealthy manage their money, how the wealthy invest differently. And I guess money management is an important factor in building wealth over time.
Oh, it is. And the other thing too, Michael, is I'm often surprised how I meet someone who's very successful in business, but doesn't really have the sort of the financial literacy that you might expect. And once they gain that, they just see this exponential growth come in their business as well. So I was chatting to somebody the other day, the very successful business, know what they're doing, but I asked them questions about their numbers and they couldn't tell me. They didn't know their numbers. So getting to understand the importance of that, I think I think Chat GPT's nailed that one quite well.
It has. I think the next one is important also, live below your means. I mean, the way to become wealthy is basically spend less than you earn, save money, and then invest it. But in Australia, there's just too many temptations, especially with credit cards and Afterpay and all those sort of things. So we're not too good at living below our means, are we?
I'm just jumping on and cancelling that Maserati order now then, Michael, shall I?
It also says create and sell intellectual property, and there's no doubt that that is one way of doing things. But I like the next one, but I don't want my kids to hear this podcast. It says inherit wealth. So we talk about 10 ways to get rich, and there's no doubt the rich do get richer, and the baby boomers who currently own probably 60% of all the real estate in Australia, who probably have got close to $6 trillion worth of real estate under their belts, are going to pass all that on to the next generation over the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, they are. And can I just say, it's why I like doing these podcasts with you, Uncle Michael.
You're not in my will, mate. Take calculated risks. Now, that's interesting. I think you do need to take risks when you first start off, when you launch a business. When you start investing, it is scary, but once you've got an asset base, once you start to build your wealth, then you shouldn't be taking risks. I think getting rich and staying rich, Mark, are two very, very different things.
Yeah, I think they are. But, Michael, even when it comes to taking risks, I think the big thing about taking risks is to learn from the mistakes that others have made. And it's something that you teach in all of the work that you do. It's something that I teach in the work that we do, with our clients, with our staff, is they don't need to make the mistakes that we made. They can learn from that. So the risk level for them, even in the very early days, can be so much lower because they don't have to make the same mistakes that we made, in those early learning days.
Sure, because risk's really what you can't see. Things you think only happen to other people, things you aren't paying attention to, things you're willfully ignoring, things that aren't in the news, things that you already know about, like the fiscal cliff that they're talking about, the interest rate cliff coming up, or other issues of rising interest rates. It's not a risk because you sort of know about it and you can do something about it. It's those risks that come out of the blue that you're not prepared for, the ones that can get you, aren't they?
Absolutely, yep. And being aware of those things through other people's experiences and listening, getting the right. It gets back to what I said before about having a good network around you, listening to the right people, getting good advisors, and Michael, not always looking for free advice either.
Very true. The most expensive advice is that free advice that's wrong. So just finishing off with that, I think risk management is less about how you respond to it, more about recognizing how many things can actually go wrong before they actually do. And that's one of the areas that Ken Racer, we work closely together with at Metropole Wealth Advisory. His job isn't just to get people the right structures and help people with their estate planning, but make them aware of the various risks that could get them before they happen. I guess that's part of our job in all the divisions of Metropole.
I think it is. I think it's part of our job as in some ways just as mentors in life. So very much so.
Now, the last of the 10 ways of getting rich, and we've got some other things I've asked Chat GPT, was seek out opportunities for passive income. And I believe it's right there because you said a moment ago, you don't want to keep trading your time for dollars. So what you should be doing is building multiple streams of passive income. That's properties. It could be royalties from books, but that's the way you accumulate wealth without having to work for it the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, even to the point with business, one of the things that we try to talk about, or we work with our clients on, Michael, is having that business and not just a job. So again, it gets back to not trading time for money, having things that are the sort of passive or semi-passive income, be it royalties, be it real estate income, be it income from your business. That, of course, is the ultimate goal.
Sure. Okay, I asked ChatGPT how to become a better investor, and that's different. And I actually also said, but do it in a more quizzical and more fun sort of answers. And here are the answers ChatGPT came back with how to be a better investor. It said, have a plan or wing it like a boss, but seriously, have a solid investment plan is the key to avoiding financial mishaps. And that's what we do at Metropole. We always start by putting a strategic plan together for our clients. So it's not about the property. Now, I know a lot of people come to us, they don't want a plan. They just help me find where my next property is. But we see our responsibility as looking towards their future. And so the only way you can do that is by having a plan, knowing where you are, knowing where you want to get to. And then the plan's going to stop you making mistakes and getting too down with all the negative media.
Yeah, that's very true. I like the idea of winging it like a boss, but, winging it like a boss or otherwise, I'd always suggest against.
Sure. Okay, how to be a better investor. Point number 2, don't put all your dough in the one basket. It said spread the love and diversify your portfolio like a good mum sharing snacks with all her kids. Now, remember, I asked them to do this in a whimsical fashion, but I think the message is there. Now, that's really hard with real estate initially because it's big and it's lumpy. So do you buy 2 little properties or one good one? Well, I don't know, and that's why we put a plan together to see. But when you first start off, it's actually hard to diversify. But over time, buying in different locations, even within the same city, different sorts of properties, commercial or residential, apartments, townhouses, houses, or different states. So diversification does make sense.
And it shows, Michael, the power of getting advice on those things, I think, as well.
Sure. Okay, point number 3 about how to be a good investor. Knowledge is power, so educate yourself on the financial market. Just think of all the boring financial news you can impress your friends with at parties, and said. Well, I think the question begs the fact that there's a lot of wrong financial news out there. If you think how much effort's got to be put into continuously bringing out articles every day in the financial media, sometimes they just take press releases and put them there whether they're right or wrong. So be careful who you listen to. Knowledge is power. ChatGPT is correct, but be careful who you listen to.
Well, because it's the job of the media to sell media. So in order to sell media, they have to have content. Now, whether that content is factually correct or whether it's simply someone else's opinion, and as you and I often say, Michael, there's in Australia, there's 23 million property experts. There's always hundreds of thousands of property experts around a barbecue every Saturday afternoon. So it is a matter of being very careful about who you listen to.
ChatGPT, when I asked it how to be a better investor, says don't let your emotions control your investments. Keep a level head even if the market's doing somersaults. And it's right there because that's, again, the reason, the benefit of having a plan, because the plan will tell you what you should do and just as importantly, what you shouldn't do.
I think it was Rudyard Kipling said, if you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. I mean, the concept of being able to keep your head no matter what's happening in the marketplace. And that is about having the right people around you, good network, good advice, seeking the advice from the right people, and then taking your time to act on it.
Point number 5, investing is a marathon, not a sprint. So pace yourself. Don't go all Usain Bolt and burn out before you reach the finish line. It's right. Property investment is in Australia a long-term process. And in fact, even before you start, you've got to do a whole lot of things. So we often say the property you eventually purchase is going to be the physical manifestation of a whole lot of decisions you've got to make, and you've got to make them in the right order. To become financially free in property, it really probably takes 20 years or more to develop a big enough asset base. Now, I know there are people who send out emails saying, hey, you can buy 7 properties in 7 months or 10 properties in 10 minutes, and you can bypass the banks and you can get other people to pay you to do all sorts of things. Doesn't work that way, does it, Mark?
No, I think the only way to get rich from a get-rich scheme is to run a get-rich scheme.
Well said. It's just keep a watchful eye on your portfolio like a hawk and adjust it as needed unless you're a cat, and then just nap on it. So again, the whimsical words of ChatGPT say, treat your portfolio like a business. Keep an eye on it. It's not set and forget. That doesn't mean you've got to keep being busy with it the whole time. many of us are busy with our jobs or our businesses, so your property portfolio shouldn't have as many moving parts, but you can't just leave it alone. And that's why at Metropole, we do an annual review of our clients to see how it's going and see, is there any way of improving things?
I think in that way, a property portfolio is like a business. You don't want to be constantly interfering in it and moving the pieces around and changing decisions, but you do need to be constantly monitoring it or having somebody help you to keep a constant eye on.
Well, I think that's a good point, because we get too subjective when it's regarding property, because we spend a lot of time, money and effort, emotion in choosing it. And so therefore having an outsider actually check on it and do the facts and figures makes more sense. The next point about how to be a good investor suggests that you should seek professional advice. Chat GPT said it's like having a GPS for your finances. It'll get you to your financial destination with ease. I guess there's a constant theme going through this, Mark. Get independent advice, get holistic advice, and have a plan.
It's what we've been talking about so far today, Michael, that just having somebody on your side, getting advice, paying for good quality advice.
Sure. Point 8 about how to be a good investor. High returns with little risk sounds like a unicorn in the financial market. Don't fall for it. There isn't necessarily a direct link between risk and reward, because it also depends upon your knowledge. So you can definitely mitigate a lot of risks by having more knowledge, in my mind, Mark, but it doesn't have to be your knowledge. You can actually get a good team around you to mitigate your risks, to minimize your risks because of their knowledge. And let's be frank, the team at Metropole are using the frameworks I've fine-tuned over 5 decades. We've been helping clients with for well over 20 years. We've invested through this stage of the cycle before, and so we can see some of the risks that others who are newer to the market, they just can't have that sort of perspective.
No, that's right. And understand your strengths and weaknesses, Michael. I mean, you don't drill your own teeth. You wouldn't perform your own surgery unless you're a dentist or a surgeon. But even then, you still wouldn't do it yourself. So I think it is about understanding, getting good people around you, getting advice, and understanding where your time is best spent.
Sure. A couple of last suggestions from Chat GPT about how to be a good investor. It says the total cost of investments is like calories in a burrito. Just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you. I'm not totally sure what it gets there, but it probably suggests that just because you paid for an investment or for advice, you're going to get the right one. And I like the last one best. It says, always remember to have fun with your investments. After all, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy you a lifetime supply of ice cream. Now, I like that one, Mark.
Well, you would, Michael, because ice cream and happiness to you are synonymous. I mean,
that's right.
They're one and the same.
You could have said chocolate and I would have been just as happy. But, people have asked me, if ever you were stuck on a desert island and you could only take one sort of food with you to be stuck there, ice cream would definitely be on the top of my list. Now, in a moment, I want to go through 10 ways ChatGPT suggests to us we could be happier. And I think it actually has come up with some good ideas. But at the beginning, I mentioned that you're the founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind. And I know that in the next couple of weeks, it's next week when we're recording this, but it'll be long gone by the people listen to this, we're getting together with our tribe on the Gold Coast at the Intensive, where people are not only going to have the opportunity, as they do regularly, seeing you over Zoom, but catching up face to face. Maybe you could just explain a bit about what Business Accelerator Mastermind does and who it's good for.
Sure. So, Business Accelerator Mastermind is a business coaching program, which is both one-on-one and group. And the reason it's both one-on-one and group is because we know that one-on-one, you get to learn from me, you get to learn from you, Michael, from Caroline, from other people, other experts we have in the business. But the advantage of the group is they actually get this collective momentum and shared wisdom from each other as well. And really what it's designed is it's for people who are in a service business or professionals in private practice who really have a business that's so reliant on them that they can't take extended periods of time away from the business without it failing, without them being there. And so what we do is take them through a process so that they get they get that time, they get that freedom, but without sacrificing the sort of money that they're earning from the business at the same time.
Well, you started off many years ago as my business coach, and then you were helping others in my business. I referred clients to you. We become business partners in Business Accelerator Mastermind. You're still my business coach and my unreasonable friend, but you've actually stepped up over the years to become an equity partner in a number of the divisions of Metropole, and now you're the CEO of Metropole. And if you're in business or in a service business or a profession and you'd like to have the same business coach I have, why not go to Business Accelerator Mastermind? We'll leave a link in the show note and have a chat with Caroline, who will talk to you about what we do. And if you think that it'll be worthwhile having the same business coach as I do, you can have a chat with Mark as well. You'd be happy about that, wouldn't you, Mark?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'd love to have a chat and see how we can help people, Michael. Always. That's why we do what we do.
Perfect. Okay. I then asked Chat GPT, back to the main topic today, how to be happier. And it came up with 10 thoughts. The first one was practice gratitude. It said, take time each day to reflect on the things that you're thankful for and express your gratitude. This will help you focus on the positive aspects of your life and increase feelings of happiness. Well, I know you and I both agree very much with that. You'll never be happy unless you're grateful. So we all have challenges in our life, but you know that every day I start off with thinking about what I'm grateful for before I get out of bed. And it's going to be different to what I thought about yesterday, and it sets the mood right for me.
Yeah, it does, Michael. You know, I journal every morning, but I always finish my journaling off, even if my journaling is about challenging thoughts, challenges in work, or in my business, or with friends, family, whatever it may be. But it always finishes with something that I'm grateful for. And it's amazing how at the time I close that book and get into the day, I've just got myself set up with a positive frame of mind.
That's fantastic. Point number 2 about how to be happier, according to artificial intelligence, was cultivate positive relationships. Again, that makes sense. It said, spend time with loved ones and engage in activities that strengthen your relationships. Surround yourself with people who are supportive and make you feel good.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, spending time with loved ones, friends, family, and sometimes family, friends are family, Michael. That's how that works out. But I think spending that time with people who make you feel good about you and who aren't jealous of you, who aren't trying to keep up with you, who aren't sort of focusing on all the negative traits that you may have is certainly a great shot in the arm and a step toward being happier.
Again, one of the reasons we run Business Accelerator Mastermind, where you can get together with other supportive people who make you feel good because they understand the challenges of being in business. And again, one of the benefits of getting together is wealth retreat. Number 3, exercise regularly. Exercise has been shown to have a positive impact on both your physical, but yes, also your mental health. It does make you happier. Even a few minutes a day, it says Chat GPT can improve your mood and reduce your stress.
Well, it's quite right. I know when I'm not, if I fall off the exercise wagon, I know that I'm not at my most productive. I'm not, I can be cranky, difficult. But I know that, you walk Lincoln every morning. As a friend, I've sort of watched you as you sort of walk Lincoln every morning. I think it's made a difference to you, Michael. It definitely has.
Interestingly, one of the things that ChatGPT could have said about how to be happier is get a pet. It definitely made our lives happier, and I know yours as well, but that wasn't on the list. The next thing on the list was get enough sleep, and that's true. Adequate sleep is essential for physical and mental well-being. So ChatGPT suggested get 7 to 9 hours sleep each night to feel your best. I think everyone's got their own sleep requirements, but it's important to understand them and then listen to your body.
I think sleep is actually a superpower. I think it's a wonder drug. And I know that, when I don't get enough sleep, again, I'm not happy, I'm cranky, I'm difficult to get on with. And so I think sleep's really important. This Chat GPT is quite clever, Michael, isn't it?
It really is, isn't it? Remember, it's actually summarized all those articles, all those blogs, all those videos on the internet. I think it's been very clever here. It's also said practice mindfulness. Mindfulness can help you stay present at the moment and reduce stress and anxiety. I know you're into meditation and yoga, deep breathing exercises. You actually tried to get me into yoga. I still haven't done it, but I know it works for you and Caroline.
Yeah, it does. We practice yoga, and we only do it once a week, but it's worthwhile. And Michael, we actually have meditation sessions here in the office once a month where we get somebody to come in and the whole team spends an hour meditating. So we know
that's not mediation; it's meditation, isn't it?
No, that's right. No, we haven't got to the mediation yet. I think. Luckily, not yet anyway. But the meditation, it helps people be more productive. And again, happier people, happier workplace, happier environment, more productivity as a result.
Fantastic. Next point ChatGPT mentioned about how to be happier was help others. Volunteering, donating, charity. I know it's something we do you do? And in fact, later this year, Metropole's running a charity ball in Brisbane. We'll be notifying people because it would be fantastic for others to get involved and help the charity Hummingbird House that we're supporting in Brisbane. That's happening in August. I know your wife Caroline is doing a swim at the moment, a 10-kilometre swim. I was impressed she could do 10 kilometres. Having said that, I know it's in bits and pieces, not one long run. But yes, that's important. Helping others makes you feel better.
I forget who it was who said, the best way to get what you want is to help others to get what they want. But I think it's very true. The concept of giving makes you feel better. So again, I think Chat GPT's nailed that.
Chat GPT 0.7 said set achievable goals, and I think that's important. But point number 8 was laugh often. Now, we had a session on this podcast a while ago with the King of Laughter in Australia who taught us how important it was to laugh in your life. Laugh often because it reduces stress, improves your mood. So make time for activities that bring you pleasure. I know you do that with your grandkids, as do I.
Yeah, and Michael, you and I were having a conversation with somebody, one of the other directors just earlier, and it was a challenging time for them, and they were quite stressed. It's amazing if you throw just a little bit of laughter in there, you throw a little bit of levity, and suddenly things don't seem quite as heavy as they were just before.
That's right. How do you become happier? ChatGPT's got 2 more points. Learn something new. I guess it's suggesting you should be challenging your brain. You should have new experiences. Mentally stimulating yourself increases your feeling of happiness, Mark.
Michael, you probably see behind me is my guitar sitting there, and I'm learning guitar at the moment. I'm finding it extremely challenging, but it just exercises your brain. And as you reach little milestones and you learn new things, you sort of feel pretty good about yourself.
Sure. So the last point of ChatGPT's list on how to be happier was practice self-care. Take care of your physical and mental health. You eat well, manage stress, engage in activities that bring you peace and relaxation. It really has summarised it very well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's done an exceptional job. I think they're all around on all those points. It's great advice. How to be a happier person, how to be a better investor, and how to be successful.
Well, again, thank you, ChatGPT Artificial Intelligence, which is my little buddy on the side that helps me even come up with the name for this podcast, because I put in there, give me the 5 names for the podcast about how ChatGPT can help you. I think artificial intelligence is not something to be scared of, but it's something that we should embrace and start to learn how. And if it's the same as many other technologies, this won't be the final one. Google is the big search engine we all use today, Mark, but it wasn't the first one. Before that, there was Alta Vista and Yahoo and all those others. Facebook wasn't the first one. Yes, that's right. So let's learn about it and let's see how we use it. So, Mark, thank you for your time today. We now know how to be richer, how to be a better investor, and how to be happier and appreciate our life. I think it all comes back to gratitude. Otherwise, all these other things don't really help.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. So grateful for this. Grateful for the opportunity, as always, to have this chat. I'm just thinking, though, if ChatGPT comes out in an audio format, does that mean you won't need me for these podcasts anymore?
It's already there. Yes, you can actually. I'm not sure it's ChatGPT. There are programs, and I have heard a podcast which was done purely by artificial intelligence, and you can actually get it to almost sound like you. Yes.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Future is here.
Okay. Catch up soon. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, mate. Bye.
Well, thanks for spending the last little while with me, and I hope you got some benefit from this show. If you did, and you know somebody else who'd also benefit, please tell them about the Michael Yardney podcast. There's a share button on every podcast app. On Apple Podcasts, there's 3 little buttons down the bottom. Press it and share it, or just tell them about the Michael Yardney podcast. I hope you're going to be doing them a favour, and you'll definitely be doing me a favour and helping me in my quest to make as many people as possible financially literate. Now, there's ways of catching up with me between these shows. Just look for Michael Yardney on social media, or why not join my private Facebook group? Go to Facebook and look for the Property Update Facebook group. And I have a way of saying thank you to you for subscribing to this podcast. Go to podcastbonus.com.au. There'll be a link in the show notes, podcastbonus.com.au, where you can get a bunch of ebooks and reports. My way of saying thank you. And when you've got time, why not listen to some of the old podcasts? There's individual lessons in each of those that I think would be helpful for you. I'll be back again real soon. In the meantime, have a great week. Make it a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success, and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropole to help you?